Hello and welcome to Cavs Daily, your one-stop shop for everything Cavaliers related. The good, the bad, the ugly, the breaking news, rumors, whatever it is, we're talking about it. This is where you need to get your tea from when it comes to NBA basketball. I'm your host, Paul Williams. Appreciate you guys being here with me for another banger. As the Cavs have a couple off days in between their last game against the Atlanta Hawks and their next game, which won't be until Wednesday when they will take on the Philadelphia 76ers. I wanted to get into a little analysis of the Cavs start so far and kind of just talk about where we're at now as a whole, 7 games into the season. Before we do that, if you could like, subscribe, comment if you feel I earned it whenever you decide throughout this video. I would have really appreciate that. And with that out the way, let's get to the state of the Cavs. Right now, our Cleveland Cavaliers have been solid. I mean, kind of what you would expect for a team that's integrating so many different pieces and dealing with so many injuries. We are 4-3 right now on the season, very early on, so record isn't obviously a huge deal right now. The Cavs sit 5th in the East behind some teams that I would put a lot of money on. They won't be behind within a few weeks and then for the rest of the season. But as of now, they are trailing Philadelphia, who is in first place, along with the Bulls, as they both only have one loss. And then the Bucks and the Pistons are also half a game ahead of the Cavs in the loss column. The teams that were supposed to be the biggest threats, which we're going to talk about a little later, are all outside of the playoffs looking in right now, as they're all under 500. So when you put it into perspective, I think the Cavs have been off to a solid start this season. The injuries have really been the theme of our season so far, unfortunately, as we have already been dealing with Garland and Strus out. We also lost Sam Merrill along the way, who has missed the last 3 games. Donovan had to miss a game. Evan had to miss a game. Oh, I'm sorry, not Evan. I mean DeAndre had to miss a game. Jared Allen has missed the last 2 games with a broken finger. I mean, pretty much every guy besides Larry Nance, Evan Mobley, and Jalen Tyson have missed at least 1 game this season. The injuries are piling up, but luckily, knock on wood, they haven't been the long-term variety of injuries as far as the ones that have been suffered in season. So it's annoying that we have to deal with it right now, but it could be a lot worse. The Cavs defensively, they've been very solid. They have the second best defensive rating right now in the Eastern Conference. Their offense is about average, I'd say, right now. Compared to last year, it's night and day. Last year, we were such a beautiful, functioning offense. This year, it's a work in progress, and while we have the pieces to be the top offense in the league once again, it is going to take us time to get there. That's just obvious at this point, and I think everyone knows it. Kenny Atkinson has talked about it numerous times. There's going to be growing pains, but that doesn't mean we can't get back to that top offense, or at least one of the top offenses in the league. The Cavs have gotten great contributions from numerous players so far this season, especially with guys having to step in due to injuries and guys being out so much. Unfortunately, one of the guys that was having the best season, kind of helping fill in for Darius Garland and Max Strus's injuries, was Sam Merrill, who we unfortunately lost to an injury 4 games into the season. But yeah, he was balling. Through his first 4 games, he was, to me, the best shooter in the league, and it wasn't close. He was just playing lights out overall, not just shooting well, but he was creating, he was playing good defense, he was making the hustle plays. it looked like he was really on his way to a breakout campaign, and I think that's still going to be the case. But it just sucked that that got slowed down for him. It's been nice to see DeAndre Hunter's aggression. Evan Mobley's been a lot more aggressive, but that's something we're going to talk about in the next segment. As while that's a good thing, I think it hasn't been all roses so far in that development category. The Cavs will now have a few days off to reset, and they'll start playing at home a bit more, as 4 of their first 5 games were on the road, and their only home game, they had a back-to-back that same weekend, so it really kind of took a bit of the luster away of the home game because the Cavs had to travel to Detroit immediately after the game. The Cavs will face the 76ers next, as I said, and then we have the Wizards on the road. We have the Bulls at home. We have the Heat on the road back-to-back. We play the Heat twice in Miami next week, and then the Raptors will come back to Cleveland, where we're going to have to extract a little revenge. I think our best game of the season so far was clearly the Detroit Piston game, where we all seem to put it together, and we blew them out from the second quarter on. It was pure domination, reminded me a lot of last season. Our worst game of the season so far, I'd have to say, would be the Boston Celtics game. Just didn't have it. Fell behind early and couldn't get back into the game. And while we did fight and did show some good things, I think that was probably the worst game so far this season. Donovan is, of course, our leading scorer so far this season, averaging just below 30 points at 29.5 a game. He's also doing that on 55% from the field, which is really, really good for anyone, but for someone who is so perimeter-oriented. He's also shooting nearly 44% from 3. Evan Mobley is averaging over 19 points for us so far through these 7 games. And he's also really stepping up in the assist department, averaging 4.5 assists a game. DeAndre Hunter's also been balling for us. He's averaging 18 points so far per game, along with 5 rebounds. Sam Merrill was averaging 17 points a game before he went out. And then Jared Allen also in double digits at 14 points a game. Lonzo Ball hasn't scored a ton, but that's not what we should expect from him. I think he's played great in his role and has been exactly what we needed, both defensively and as a facilitator so far through the season. And yeah, I think the Cavs are in a good spot. We're growing, and with all the injuries, I think it's going to help us in the long run, getting so many different combinations of guys time on the court together. Now let's flip it to one thing from the early season that I've been seeing, and I don't know, it was kind of what I was afraid of coming into the year. Evan Mobley had so much put on him as far as expectations, and it's time for him to take this big leap and be an MVP, a top 10 NBA player certified. He already was Defensive Player of the Year, so, I mean, he already had accomplished so much, also all NBA second team. So having all that thrown on you on top of what you just did in what was a very, very stellar season for anyone, it had to be tough on him in the offseason. You could tell he bulked up, and he did work to do the things that everyone says he needs to do to take that next step, which is mainly on the offensive end, be more aggressive, be more assertive, and really score more. I never really loved the fact that we make it seem like Mobley has to be a 27 points per game scorer to be an MVP level guy and for him to max out his talents and capabilities. I think he could be the KG mold, or even like Tim Duncan most years didn't average 30. Most years he was averaging 22, 12, and 4, something along those lines, 24, 25. I think Mobley can find a sweet spot in the low 20s, and that could be just fine. But right now you can tell he's just forcing it, and his aggression is coming, but it's coming kind of clanky and uncomfortable. You could tell at time when he is trying to remind himself to, no, let me keep the ball instead of giving it up right here. he doesn't really have a plan what he's going to do, and he doesn't really have a ton of go-to moves to go to in those type of situations. So it's putting him in some tough spots, and he's turned the ball over a lot because of that. And he's taken some tough shots that just aren't even really fair to him, because not many people would make some of the shots he's been taking, contested shots and shots off of double, triple pump fakes, just trying to get a shot up instead of passing the ball. But I don't think that's the right mindset. Yes, I do want him to be more aggressive and to get a couple go-to moves where he can be more of an offensive focal point and a 1A or a 1B type guy on a championship level team. But he also is a different mold, and he brings so much to the game in every other way that, like, maybe we don't need to put all this on him at once. I think he's going to grow into that regardless, just because of his talent and his work ethic. But I really do feel like all the talk this offseason has clearly gotten into his head a bit, and he's struggling with decision making and trying to force it a little too much. And the Cavs have suffered because of it. If I'm being honest, he's a big reason why our offense isn't where it needs to be. The ball has gotten stuck with Mobley a lot so far this season, and that's going to happen a bit as he just works through getting more comfortable on the offensive end as a young guy. But I do think there's a happy medium he can find where he can be comfortable in the shots he's taking. I mean, he's shooting 44% from the field and 31% from three right now. Those are way below what he's been averaging, and I would expect him to get back up to 55% field goal shooting and 37% three-point shooting. But I think that just really shows and kind of encapsulates his struggles. Like, yeah, he's averaging 19 points, but he's doing it on very bad efficiency for his standards, and he just doesn't look comfortable at times out there on the offensive end, and you can tell he's in his own head, and it has affected the games a lot and the Cavs a lot. So I wouldn't say it's a problem, but I do think he's trying to do a little too much right now, but he's a smart guy, and I think he'll get past that, and he'll learn that he doesn't have to, and he can still have the impact that he wants to have. Just something that's going to take a little time, and we have to give him a little grace because he is still only 24 and still working through becoming what he's going to be as an NBA player. Now let's talk a little bit about just the Cavs players in general. Which guys' stocks are up after these first 7 games, and which guys have maybe fell off a little bit in our eyes so far. First off, I think Sam Merrill, despite being hurt right now, definitely deserves a spot in the stock up category. He's averaging a career high 17 points per game on 45% from three, and he's doing it also off the dribble. And like I said, he's really helping he's getting his shots up, but he also always seems to keep the ball moving and more than willing to make the extra pass. And he was just playing great basketball before he went down, and has me very excited for what he's going to do for the Cavs this season. I think Jalen Tyson, after a bit of a slow start the first couple games, has really started to come into his own the last 3 games. He's dropped 19, 18, 17. He's been balling out, and he's playing good defense. He's hustling. All he really has to do is cut down on the fouls and just continue to get comfortable and play relaxed on the court, and he'll be fine. But very good signs from him the last couple of games, has his arrow definitely pointing up. And I think DeAndre Hunter also deserves his arrow pointing up, averaging 18, and rebounding the basketball very well, which the Cavs are not doing. I forgot to say that in the first segment, but State of the Union, Cavs stop fouling and start rebounding the basketball. I've said it so much the past couple of videos. Didn't want to harp on it again. My dad got on me about it, so I was trying to leave it alone, but it's hard to in a 18-minute video. But yeah, Hunter definitely has his arrow pointing up as well through 7 games for the Cavs. I think stock down. I think, unfortunately, Larry Nance a bit, but not how people are making it seem. But yeah, I do want to see more out of him. He just hasn't had the impact, at least offensively, that I was hoping he could have. And not saying he needed to do a ton, but just be a threat out there if you leave him wide open that he'll take and at a decent clip make an open shot. I do think he could still get to what he's could have been and what he can be and what we envision him as for this Cavs team, but just not off to a great start so far. And yeah, hopefully he'll turn that around. Also, Thomas Bryant, not really by fault of his own, but he just isn't getting many opportunity. And when he is out there in the small amount of time he has been, he hasn't taken advantage and kind of forced Kenny Atkins in hand to give him more time. So I think until he does that, we're not going to see much of Bryant, and I definitely had high hopes for him. And then, I mean, Jared Allen, while he did have a couple good games as well, and he's been playing better since a bad start to the season, I just overall, his energy at times and a few of his answers, honestly, in a couple of interviews he's had, I don't know. I'm not feeling as good about him as I was 2 weeks ago. I'm still definitely not off the bandwagon completely or like I have my pitchforks out for Jared Allen like some people do. But yeah, I think he's definitely lost a little bit of luster as well, and his stock is currently down just a little bit. But now, let's get off the Cavs stocks being down. I think the rest of the East stock is down even more than it was coming into the season. Everyone knew the Eastern Conference was going to be down a little bit because of some key injuries to guys like Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum. But through 7-8 games, I really feel even better than I did preseason about the Cavs' chances in the East and how much better I think we are than the other top competitors or what the pundits thought would be our biggest competition this year. I mean, the Knicks, first off, they look weak and just not like a serious contender, losing to bad teams. I'm getting blown out by the Bulls, even though the Bulls are off to a good start. They just haven't really looked great so far through 7 games. They're under 500, and it's not just their record, but I've watched 2 or 3 of their games and the game we played them, and I don't know. Karl Anthony Towns doesn't seem like the Karl Anthony Towns from last year, which they really need to be good or to reach their ceiling. And all the other guys like Mikal Bridges just aren't looking great right now. So I think the Knicks stock is definitely down. The Magic, maybe more than anyone, I think their stock is down. Even though they've won their last couple games against weak competition, they're still under 500. Paolo Banchero, to me, is so overrated, and it's been proven so far this year. He's had a couple decent scoring games, but overall, his efficiency is bad. He disappears way too much for someone that the NBA wants to be a superstar so bad. He's not that. He might not ever become that. And I think Franz Wagner is better than him. I mean, he was better than him last season. People wrote it off because they don't want that to be the reality, and they want Banchero to be what they've hyped him up to be as the number 1 pick a few years back. But he just, I don't know, like he doesn't have, he can't shoot the 3 well. He has some offensive moves. He can shoot from the mid-range pretty well. But I feel like teams are able to take him out the game way too easy and way too often to be the go-to guy on a team that's supposed to contend. And I think with their addition of Desmond Bane, it hasn't changed anything. If anything, he looks even more uncomfortable out there, and Bane has been playing bad for them. He hasn't really done much of note at all, and they gave up 5 first-rounders for him. So the Magic, I really have not been impressed, and I don't think that's going to change too much throughout the year. And I'm going to keep saying Banchero is probably a top 3 most overrated players in the league, and Franz Wagner's better than him. And then the Hawks, I was never a believer. Trae Young's already hurt. Jalen Johnson's looking pretty good. Dyson Daniels looks like he's taken a bit of a step back. He's not developing, at least offensively, the way he needs to if he's going to be a high level player. He's very good on defense, but they need more out of him. Porzingis, you never know what you're going to get from him. And I think the Hawks are like maybe a little better than a play-in team, maybe like a 6 seed, 5 seed ceiling type team. Even if they finish 4th, I don't think they're good. They're not a team that worries me. So, yeah, I feel great right now about the Cavs prospects against the rest of the East, especially the supposedly top teams. They're not it. And Banchero and the Magic, just stop. You guys are not going to be a threat for a long time. This core isn't going to work. And mark my words, they'll be breaking up this core within a year or two. With that, we're going to wrap this up. I appreciate you guys hanging along for the ride if you're still here. Comment, like, subscribe if possible. And either way, come back tomorrow for another one. Till then, appreciate you guys. Have a great night.